readers, Good Morning Science has been an initiative to bring out the scientific achievements through scientific article. So we are committed to publish the recent developments in science and technology. Besides publishing articles, we would plunge into an interesting venture to sit face to face with a scientist. Understand the scientific adventures by hearing it straight from the verses of concerned scientists and spread it to the society through our platform. We are hereby very much delighted to bring out the first episode of Session with Scientists. For the first episode, we are highly honored to have Dr. Vinay Bhushan Kamble, an eminent scientist and the former director of Vigyan Prasar, Government of India. Dr. Kamble has been contributing to the field of popularizing science since 1978, when he joined the Vikram Sarabhai Community Science Center. From here onwards, his expeditions took him to join the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India in 1989. When he became the director of Vigyan Prasar, he conceptualized the idea of Vigyan Rail. Dr. Kamble was also associated with Doordarshan in collaboration with Indian Space Research Organization for establishing the network of Edusat Satellite. We welcome you, sir, to the first episode of Session with Scientists of Good Morning Science, and would like to put up some questions to lighten up our knowledge and for our viewers. My first question to you, sir, is, could you please explain us broadly on the necessity of popularizing science in the society?
Okay, so that's one thing we need to understand. And see, whether at home or in a sports field, in a street, in job, anywhere, maybe economic sphere, or I mean, say now it's a social instance, we have to follow a scientific method. We have to think rationally, because you see, it's quite likely that in some local area there may be some specific problem related to environment, maybe related to energy, maybe related to some other say cultural or say some other aspect. Okay, some conflict could be there. So if some such problem is there, then say now it's really important to first say get the correct information about it, and then try to analyze that information. What we really call a collection of data and analyzing the data is in science, okay? And only after that we should be able to come to some sort of a conclusion. And once we do that, we shall be able to at least say think of say some approach we need to take to solve that problem. But in this case, in the societal context, one single person cannot do this.
Cannot do this, yes.
Okay, and for that reason, we really need to understand what is it that the local population really wants. So we need to take the people who are directly involved or affected now in that area, and with the particular problem we are dealing with into confidence, and then now try to evolve a solution, say in consultation with them, by taking them in confidence. So this is an approach which will really now help in development of that particular local area. We need to remember this, but this is not only now applicable in any societal aspect. It's at home also. You do the same thing when we deal with our own children. Or in our office or in our own organization, we have to deal with the people, you see. And so any problem we come up with, we have to have a rational approach. But also we know it's a scientific approach. For that what is the word that we often use is scientific temper.
Yeah.
Okay, scientific temperament.
First question is that how you build the scientific temper.
Right. So now it only means that it's a logical and a rational approach. And that's something we really need. Yeah. Once we have that, then now we expect now people to be now on a path to progress. And I really dream of a day when all the citizens of our country or our nation would be transformed into a scientifically thinking people.
They will build a scientific temper.
Exactly. Yeah, now, so when that happens, then I think so now we will be the best in the world.
How much important it is to popularize science from the village perspective in a country like India?
See, it's not a question of popularizing the science only from village perspective. See, as I said earlier, that I mean, why do you want to popularize science and technology? One is information about scientific principles and about the technology we use every day. That's one thing. But more important than that is scientific thinking or a rational thinking.
Yeah.
And we cannot distinguish, I mean, say, between the rural population and the urban population when it comes to scientific approach. That approach has to be the same. Okay, maybe say in terms of information, so perhaps the kind of information the rural people need, okay, depending on their own local environment, and the urban people need, so that may be different. Okay. Well, there will be a large overlap, all right. But then say maybe some specific information rural people require and specific information urban people require. But when it comes to say approaching a problem, you have to follow the scientific method. So there, I mean, so now you really cannot distinguish. It's the same. Maybe it's a rural people or the urban people, you see.
A rural guy can have a scientific temper and an urban guy may not have that scientific temper. That's a balance to be created.
Well, what is at the heart of of the developing society is the say, rational approach, logical approach, the scientific thinking. The so-called the scientific temper.
Yes, sir. That is important. The society seems to be reluctant about the scientific achievements happening around. So the shrinking research funding also indicates the reluctance. So what is your view on this?
No, I think this is not right because you see the children are always inquisitive. In fact, say the people in general, the general population, they also want to know the things. Okay, what is happening around them, say in their vicinity, in their I mean, say, neighborhood, and so they are always inquisitive to know. But there is hardly anybody to tell them, satisfy their curiosities. Okay, so I'll give you, I mean, say, just two examples. Say you asked me about children.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's say if you remember, I mean, say almost 12, 13 years ago in 2004, we had a Vigyan Rail. So that was an initiative of the Department of Science and Technology, especially Vigyan Prasar.
Yes, sir.
Okay, a train containing science exhibits.
So that time you were in the director position of the Vigyan Prasar.
Yes, it was a project of Vigyan Prasar, and it was funded by Department of Science and Technology. After all, Vigyan Prasar is an institute funded, supported by Department of Science and Technology. So, I mean, say this train contained exhibits on history and development of science and technology in the country since independence. Set till that day.
Since independence. Okay.
So it had some 12 bogies and say 18 departments of government of India involved in scientific and technological activities participated in that. That train moved, say, in every nook and corner of the country. Okay, for several months. And it also moved to several rural areas. You see, it's quite interesting, I'll tell you. The smaller the place was, the bigger the crowds were. So
the crowds visiting the
so much, yeah. Because I mean, so I really remember I mean, so the crowds at Jalpaiguri, which is relatively a small place, you see. Some I mean, so now so there's lakhs of people I mean, so now turning up bus loads and I mean, say car loads and so many and children and there I mean, say it wasn't say only children or the grown-ups, but yes, mainly children.
Mainly children.
So now, and not only that, so most of the children were taking down, I mean, so detailed notes of every, I mean, say exhibit.
So the curiosity
now,
was
so
there.
you know, and so now, so we asked some children, so why are you doing this? He said, no, it's something. it's so interesting. I never knew that science is so interesting. It's so nice to know so many things. I mean, say, I never knew about these things. And there is no other source from where I can know this. And now it's so interesting. Now I want to be a scientist. See, that is that triggering the interest in science.
It's
So
coming
that
out.
yes, so that is science. And not only I mean, say now provided the information and or satisfy the curiosity of the children, but it also helped trigger an interest in science. Okay, so now you can see. I mean, I can give you many examples, but this is enough to show that there is an inherent curiosity. And inherent, I mean, say now thirst for knowledge.
For knowledge.
Okay, so which I mean they really crave for, and but then so now if this is the situation, we should be able to help the population. Another incident you talked to me about, say some grown-ups, right? So one say fellow, say in his 20s or so, maybe his mid-20s, he was again assiduously he was taking down the notes. So I asked him, why are you doing this? He said that he is appearing for public service examination.
Okay.
And he said, and then he said, the kind of information I'm getting here, so I cannot get from anywhere, you see. So now the point is that, say, here is another example. People want to know, they are interested in knowing. But there are not many, I mean, say now ways from where they can get the information, or the people who can, I mean, say, provide the information. Okay. Talking specifically about grown-ups, you know that say the initiative of let's say DST, National Council for Science and Technology Communication, so which is a part of DST, and Vigyan Prasar. Say during the events of total solar eclipse and Venus transits, say nationwide campaigns were organized. And I remember, say, in 1995, that was the first time, say, this government of India took an initiative to take, I mean, say, science to the people through the event of total solar eclipse in 1995.
Okay.
1995. And then, say, now you will be surprised. Say, now, say, all over the country, say, now lakhs and lakhs of people came out to watch the total solar eclipse. Otherwise, I must tell you that before that, total solar eclipse had taken place in 1980.
Okay.
1980. So that time, there was no such campaign. Okay. And that time, there was a virtual curfew in the entire country.
Okay.
So now I can tell you, because I had been to Karnataka, okay, say on a campaign for this some scientific expedition. I had gone to part of physical research laboratory in Ahmedabad, okay, say and only this astronomer, astrophysicist who were trying to study the phenomena related to the sun and the total solar eclipse, the corona and all that, they were out taking the observations. Otherwise, the entire population was inside the houses. There was a total curfew. But say on the contrary, say in 1995, as a result of the campaign undertaken by DST, Vigyan Prasar, okay, lakhs and lakhs of people throughout the country came out on the roads to watch the eclipse. And ever since in 1999 or even 2009, when we had this total solar eclipse. And also, I mean, on the events of Venus transits in 2004 and 2012, you should see the enthusiasm of the people. You see. It has happened even in Assam. You see now, all over the state. I think you also might have watched this phenomenon. Okay, and then we supplied, I mean, special, I mean, solar filters with which they can, I mean, directly watch the sun. Okay, either, I mean, total solar eclipse or the Venus transiting the disk of the sun. Okay. And now it has become a regular phenomenon. Say now,
every year,
meaning whenever the event takes place, you find, I mean, say now the people simply go out. I mean, say they want to watch on their own. That shows that say now, I mean, say now how much people have a curiosity, thirst for knowledge. They want to know what is happening, and this way they learn to enjoy nature, the natural phenomena.
Which occurring,
right?
what is the science behind it?
And I don't want to give you examples only of this astronomy or astrophysics, but I mean, say now, even when say we had World Year of Physics, Okay, so that time so there were so many programs built around the theme of physics in 2005, if you remember. Okay, that say all over the country, so many programs are organized in schools, colleges, research institutes, and all that. There were exhibitions, and so there were, I mean, say now popular science lectures to tell people about say what had happened 100 years earlier. Okay. So I mean, say now, and it's really interesting to see the transformation. I mean, I must say that a transformation is taking place, and to a great extent, it has also taken place since almost 1995 or so. Ever since the total solar eclipse campaign was organized by DST, say the first ever campaign of that type. So this is now continuing. There, in to be honest, there have been say many different types of events also, like say since. This thing that Bharat Jana Vigyan Jatha was organized in 1989, 1987, I think. In 1989, we had organized this Bharat Jana Vigyan Jatha, okay, all over the country. Meaning, I mean, say now it's a group of people going from one village to another village, carrying, I mean, say some information or say some, I mean, the demonstrations of science and taking some message of science or giving some information on some scientific aspects, say, and then so that also became a very popular event. So now after that, so now many non-government organizations have taken up this as a regular activity. You see, so now people are they want to know something, and it's the responsibility of organizations like say CPP or IPR or any other organizations to I mean say help people satisfy their thirst. I tell you one thing, even in an institution like Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, okay, they have a group in which scientists, in the senior scientists, every month they go to some of the say, schools in the interior of Karnataka. Okay, and then I mean say now they organize I mean say lectures, demonstrations. Okay, and they take their equipment because you don't expect this kind of LCD projector and things like that in the schools. So they take their equipment. I mean say which is borrowed from the organization. They give the talks there. Okay, and they don't charge anything. Okay, only thing they ask the host is to just provide us the bare minimum facilities of stay for one day or so like that, or something like that. But then say now this has picked up. This has picked up to a great extent. Now so many youngsters they join this campaign. So now this is something say which must be emulated by organizations like you. Okay, you may be doing something on the National Science Days, okay, throwing open your laboratories to the general public and all that. But that is not enough. And there has to be an active involvement of scientists, okay. Even scientists need to go out, say to the people, and don't expect the people to come to you directly.
Never. We have to go. We have to teach them.
That's more important.
Then only they will come. You have presented yourselves before the children in many parts of this country. So, what do you feel at their motivation towards your vision? Since you have visited different areas over the country and presented yourself.
No, I just told you about the enthusiasm of these students and the people in general. They have an inherent thirst for knowledge. They want to know what there is nobody to tell them. And you know also that's a most, especially in the rural areas, tribal areas, interior areas, the only source of information, especially scientific information, is the textbook the children get. They don't have any other reference books. They don't have any other books or like that. So now say they have to depend only on that textbook. And quite often the I will say contents of the textbook or even the standard of the textbook is not really good. Okay, and so they have many questions to ask. But they say, who would they ask? If they ask the question that there, I mean, the local teacher would not know. He will only snub him.
Directly.
Yeah, will only snub the children. Okay, we will not, if we cannot answer the questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now with the result, that's a quite often children develop an attitude of, I mean, say now not asking any questions, and slowly, I mean, say now, I mean, say they become submissive. Okay, that should not happen. So now, so that's why, I mean, so now people, scientists, and I would say the research scholars like you, or the young scientists like you should go out occasionally, okay? And in fact, that way we learn more, the kind of questions, I mean, these children ask, they make you think.
Yes.
Sometimes things, so which you have never thought of.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
That can give you some new ideas at times.
Exactly, sir. Correct, sir. So, have you faced such problems when you visited different places?
Every time. Every time. Not a single instance where I have not faced this.
Yes, sir.
And in fact, I was saying that it's interesting that this National Children's Science Congress, it's an initiative of NCSTC in DST. So now what has happened is that, say, in every state, this National Children's Science takes place. Now, this year in Assam, it's taking place in Kokrajhar. Organized by Assam Science, Technology and Environment Council, ASTEC, as they call it. Okay. And children take up some investigative projects in the age group of 10 to 18 years. Okay. And they report their findings, the project report, first at school level, then at district level, then at state level, and finally the best selected projects have been now are presented, say, in the Indian Science Congress. And now, I mean, say, you would like to know that there is quite often, say, there is participation from a few other countries also. This activity, the National Children's Science Congress, started some 25 years ago. This is the Silver Jubilee year. And once you should visit, I mean, say that, and see the kind of, I mean, say, projects children present, the kind of ideas they come up with. Okay, I mean, they're very enlightening. Okay, now we should really think that the children, I say it's not their ideas or their investigation, they are not childish.
No, not scientists. Because
but you can learn lots of things from. They come up with some real novel and beautiful ideas.
It's a nice platform to use the ideas.
We should never treat children as childish. Remember this.
Because when I was a student in school, I visited this science congress, school science congress. Late Yashpal Sharma was visiting that time. Yeah. So I had a very good experience with explaining different small experiments.
That's right.
How do you feel that about science education in India and the scope of its improvements?
No, I think this is a very broad question. When we talk about science education, means, I mean, say, it could be either at formal or non-formal level. You see, it could range from, say, school to college to, I mean, say, maybe at research level, or it may even, say, include, I mean, say, now the public education, or say like that. So it has various facets. So now, and then, say, depending on our target group, maybe it's a school or college or maybe university or maybe at a research level or the general public, our approaches have to be different. Okay. Depending on the level of the target group and the needs of the target group. We should not think that what is good for the people. Okay. Rather, I mean, say, now, say, we first, I mean, say, need to make a survey, talk to the people, talk to children. What is it that they want? And then, say, now we should try to, I mean, say, present, I mean, say, the stuff to them, which is from their point of view rather than from our point of view. This has to happen. Yes, sir. Even now we find that this quite often this doesn't happen. Even quite often, I mean, say, now we try to, I mean, say, we imagine what sort of stuff is good for the people, what they want. It turns out that most of the times, I mean, say, it's no use. No use. Okay, so now in general, I mean, say, this is what we need to keep in mind while planning, I mean, say, any, I mean, say, activity in education. So that's why it's And what is more is that so now our textbooks which we have, they should contain a lot of activities. It should not be simply statements of facts. And today I find that many of the textbooks, they are more information oriented. They contain too much of information, especially be it at any level, school or college. So our idea of I'd say better education means better information. That is not true. Earlier also I said that's what the basic aim of education is, to develop an attitude to think and think scientifically, whatever, and apply it in our everyday life. Okay. Now we have to develop this attitude. Okay. Education really means is developing a scientific attitude, inculcating a scientific thinking among the children. So all our textbooks or all our approaches should be geared towards this aspect. And better this happens and faster this happens, the better it is.